Rise of industry, warehouses. I'm going to explain warehouses and how they work in rise of industry. This is a warehouse. There's only one type of warehouse. It's right here. It's called State Export, which is a name I gave it. This is the train depot that is attached to this warehouse. We got a boat depot attached to the warehouse. And on the right, we have the air terminal, which is attached to the warehouse. The train terminal, the boat terminal, and air terminal all must be built adjacent to the warehouse. They don't have to touch the warehouse, but they have to be within a certain range. And it's really not that far, so you want to plan it well. Each terminal is optional. The truck terminal is included with the warehouse. So the truck terminal has an entrance and an exit. You can view one of them where I'm pointing with the mouse. And I believe the other one is at the bottom. It's actually bottom right where I'm pointing with the mouse. They'll be shown in the game as connected by a dashed light green line. So these light green lines are pointing to the buildings that are the terminals, the train terminal, boat terminal, and air terminal. The easiest to build is the air terminal, which is on the right. The second easiest is the boat terminal, and the rail terminals are more difficult to build, especially as your rail network grows bigger. So I use air terminals everywhere. You can build the air terminal, you just got to plop it down. They can travel in any direction. They're easy to build. The boat terminal has to be on the water, so not every warehouse can have a boat terminal unless you're willing to build a canal, but canals are very easy to build. And then you've got the train terminal, which could be built almost anywhere. For example, it doesn't need to be near the water. But they're difficult to build. The tracks have to come out of the side opposite the whatever you call this thing, the garage, and they have to connect properly. If you don't do it properly, the trains have to ride on the same track. You can see there's smoke because there's a train over here, and they'll slow down if you don't do it properly, and it takes a long time to make the rail track. And it's a little confusing because they don't do it the American way, which is on the right side. They do it reverse where it's on the left side. So it's a little bit confusing. You might forget and you might run your rail line long. And the other thing is you can't just connect it to the existing track, because in order to get to every other rail terminal, it has to connect in all directions. So it's a little bit difficult to build a rail terminal. So warehouses have a range. The default range, I think, is 25. I usually make it 40. There's going to be reasons why you want to keep it lower, but in most cases, you're probably going to put it up to 40. You can use the filter option on the right to display destinations of different types. This is the filter option, if you can see it with the mouse. It says all, and then there's a picture of a farm, I don't know what that is, a factory, a store. I believe that's just a filter button, or no, a gatherer is what that's called. So what you can do is if you're looking for a farm, you can click on the farm filter and you can view what's going on. I think this is just for the view, but I'm not sure. Then you've got all on and all off, probably to shut them on and off. So I'm not sure if this is just, you know what? This is not just for the view. I believe this allows them in or not. It doesn't say. When you use the destinations, I think they have a filter that's just for the view. Okay, so over here you have the inputs on the left. The next one is outputs. The two arrows in a square is all the routes. The three boxes is what's in storage, and then the line chart is simple statistics that aren't really worth looking at. So over here we got some factories. What this means is that these factories are probably delivering goods to the warehouse. there's a little square. It says Food Factory 10, and there's a little square. That square represents a vehicle, and the warehouse represents the triangle at the end of the arrow. So when it's delivering, you'll see the square drive across the bottom line. I'm not sure what the dollar amount means. The number of tiles is how many tiles away it is, because you can't go beyond 40 tiles. And the little green thing, you can turn it on and off, and the icon obviously is what the product is. So over here we have a route, and you go to the storage, which is where the 3 boxes are. You click on an item, in this case it was a chair, and it takes you to the route page, and you choose where you want to deliver it to. The 0 means that there's 0 in stock. 4 dice is the name of the town that it's close to. 93 tiles away. Export is the name of my warehouse, and the reason why is because these are items that are going to be exported to state, because none of the towns will buy it. So I just send it all to one warehouse, and then from that warehouse I send it to another warehouse. So over here we've got the square that represents a vehicle, the warehouse on the right. It says max sent and min kept. Sometimes I keep some of them, so I'll keep like a minimum of 10 in case anybody local needs it. And then we've got this thing over here that shows 3 vertical bars with a diagonal. That means wait until full, or send each one as they come in. I usually use wait until full. If you are large and you don't need the money, just do wait until full. If you need money, you might have to send it out, but there's a cost for sending it out. Something like automobiles, maybe it will be profitable to send out one at a time. And then over here you see a little icon that has a warehouse, a train, a boat, and a zeppelin. The warehouse means by truck. The train means by rail. It's in black because you have a rail terminal. There's no boat terminal, so it's ghosted in gray, and there's no air terminal, so it's also in gray. This is the menu for building a terminal. And if it's orange, it means you can click on it to build a terminal. You can build the train terminal, the boat terminal, and the air terminal. My advice, build the air terminal first. Try to build a boat terminal next, and then the train terminal last. This is the storage. You see how it says slot capacity 99 units? I think the way you play the game, maybe you have to earn it. I don't remember. I'm playing in the sandbox mode. So over here you have each item, and it shows what's in storage. Once it gets to 99, it can't add anymore. So you have to do something like sell them off or send them to a factory. If you hit the trash can, it deletes everything and it's gone and you lose it. You can hit the shift key above each item and it will show you what it's used for. So for example, the vegetables can be used for the chicken dinner, but if it can't be used for anything else, you would just sell it to state. These are the warehouses. You go into logistics, you got 2 types of warehouses. It's actually one warehouse. The only difference is how the traffic goes in and out is different. It's mirrored. I always use the same one. Obviously, if you pick carefully, you could lay out your traffic well. However, I just never did it. This is the name of the warehouse, the town that it's near, and how the city is growing. And I usually change the name of the warehouse. Like if it were to deliver goods to Spring Hill, I would call it the Spring Hill warehouse and just drop things in there, and then it will automatically deliver to the stores. Or if it's doing like potatoes, I'd call it the potato warehouse, and I would deliver all of my potatoes there, and then from there deliver it to all the factories that use potatoes. This is a route. This is from a factory. This is from a crop farm. And it shows you which warehouse it's using, that there's 2 in range, that warehouse number 4, 11 tiles away. You can have it automatically do it, or you can do it manually. You could set the number of production cycles. For example, do you want it to pick enough to do 1 cycle, 2 cycles, or infinite? If you have, the most efficient way is to do infinite. And the least efficient is, I guess, to do one cycle. But you're probably going to want to keep it at 2 cycles. I don't even remember what the default is or if I changed it, because you don't want trucks going half empty. If you've got a lot of the product in supply, put a high number. And if you got a very small amount, you might have to do a low number. Auto target, I guess, automatically picks the warehouse, and the number of slots, it says 1. If you do it manually, I believe the maximum I've seen is 9 slots. This turns the warehouse on or off. This is, as I described before, it means that the vehicle is waiting at the farm. And when it goes to the warehouse, you'll see it move along and it will be orange. And when it's empty, it will come back and park here. This is when you create a route. You click on where the 3 boxes is and you pick an item such as wheat. And then we'll bring you to this screen, and you can send the wheat to a farm, a factory, a warehouse, pollution, air pollution, for example, the state, commerce, and the list goes on. So what you would do is you would click the warehouse, and then it would have a list of warehouses, and you pick the warehouse you want. Now, let's say you want it to go to Spring Hill. See over here, it says Spring Hill, and it says 78 tiles. You know that the warehouse has to be about 78 tiles. Does that make sense? So let's say it was Thermal was the name of the town, and it's 300 tiles. You just look for where you get to 300 tiles, and then you'll start to see all the farms and factories and warehouses for that town. That's one of the methods I use. Okay, so this is an automobile. You can see with the gas pump, it's delivering from gas pump 3, which is a factory, a gatherer. I believe the orange means it's full, and the white means it's empty. So the orange ones are going to the warehouse on the right, and the white ones are returning. And I believe if you disable it, it does complete the route. This is from a factory, and when you click on storage, you can either delete the item by hitting the trash can, or there is a little icon of a warehouse, and you can click on it, and it says send to closest warehouse. So if you click on that little icon, it'll send all this inventory to the nearest warehouse. Notice that there's only a maximum of 50 in the factory, and in a warehouse, it's 99. Okay, so that's everything. If you want more, go to cheapbooks.cc, look for Rise of Industry in the Transportation Management Game section. There's also more. This is where I post all of my guides and tutorials. They're actually rather new. That's why they don't have a lot of views yet. And it's cheapbooks.cc. I am the owner of cheapbooks.com, which is a website for books and textbooks. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.